you think? Good. Alright, what is happening, everybody? It is Friday. Happy Friday. It's Friday the 15th. It's payday 2019, and I'm at work. And I've been working on this for a while. Okay, so I've been talking about it, but I finally got around to setting up the edge router. So this is the edge router Lite, and it only has 3 ports. I don't even know if you guys can see that. There you go. Well, there's a console port, but there's only 3 ports. ETH0, 1, and 2. ETH0 is going to go to my WAN feed. And then I'm going to have it so ETH1 goes to switch 1, ETH2 goes to switch 2. So, for those of you that don't remember, these are the switches. Switch 1 is a 3750X PoE switch, or 3750 V2 PoE. Switch 2 is another one, and this is just a test, but you guys can see there's 3 cables right here, 3 lights lit. Port 1 is the uplink to this guy. Port 2 is going to a computer on VLAN 2. Port 3 is going to a server on VLAN 3. So I got 2 VLANs set up, and I believe I can route in between them. And this is the uplink. What I'm going to probably do is change this configuration so the uplink comes out of the gig interface over here on the side. But I just got this up and running and working, so I was trying to tweak the previous setup that I had and all that, and it was not working at all. So I'm like, fuck, dude. So all I did was I reset the switch, and it just came up, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty badass. So I'm pretty excited about that. Literally just got everything talking to each other, so I still need to change it from there. I got a couple pings running. 192.168.1.1 is the router, so I can reach that from my computer. My computer is currently plugged into ETH1. 192.168.1.38 is the IP of the switch. And then I have an IP going to 2 of these machines down here. So on 2 separate VLANs. So I'm really excited. I've been working on this for a while. It wasn't making any sense, and I'm like, God, something's not working. Let me reset this switch. Reset it, and it automatically came up with DHCP. It pulled an IP from the router, and away we went. So I'm really excited. So now I can have PoE on my switches and everything. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, so I just need to kind of figure this out and keep working at it. But initial setup is looking pretty promising. So, yeah. Is what is up? I presume you probably can't even see me because it's so dark, but maybe I'll face the camera this way. I'm just getting out of work. I'm headed home for the day, and yeah, I got stuck after work late today for server maintenance, and server maintenance went well. So I had a little bit of a video clip from earlier today, but I've been talking about and showing you guys my little Cisco mobile lab that I have. So I built this cart, and look at the clip from earlier today if you want to see a little bit closer what it is. But what I was doing was I was kind of learning Cisco networking a little bit and stuff, and I was using 3 3750 Cisco switches. One I kind of tried to set up as a router, and the other 2 I was doing as switches. Switch 1, switch 2, and router. Well, I got all that set up and relatively working, and I kind of realized that I need a real router to do what I need to do, which is get those on the internet, or get those to the work with the internet and all that sort of stuff. So okay, no big deal. So what I did was I tried playing with a Cisco router that I found. It was a Cisco 881 router. It was the model number, and I kind of couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to. So I was like, okay, well, that's all good, you know, whatever. But I actually want to get this sorted out. So I mentioned it before, but when I bought the edge router, Ubiquiti edge router ER Lite 3 for the house, I bought 2 of them. And my entire idea was to set up like an IPsec tunnel between home and work using 2 of these things. So one at home, one at work. I didn't take into account the fact that I don't have an outside IP address at work, so I can't directly get to it from the internet. I didn't even think about that. Makes sense now, but at the time I was like, oh yeah, I'll just connect them up, you know, whatever, or I'll dial the one into the other or something. I don't know. Yeah, so that didn't quite work out well. So and maybe there's another way to do it. I just haven't explored that. So I had this extra edge router, and that's what got me thinking. I'm like, you know, this edge router is really, really simple and easy to set up. I'm like, why don't I just use that and like use that as my router and hook that into my Cisco switches. So that's what I worked on this morning. And you know, I reconfigured the switches how I thought it needed to be, and then I plugged them in, and it just like was not working at all. And I'm like, god damn, you know, like I found like one video tutorial that showed how to set this up, and he did it from scratch. Meaning the switch like had been flashed or like deleted, and he just like booted it up and configured it from scratch. And I'm like, well, I already backed up my switch configs, so if I make any changes to them, I can always revert them back if I really wanted to, but they're not really even working or usable as I had them, so why not just change it? So what I did was I wiped both switches. Well, I started with one, wiped it, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like worked with the edge router. And I look, and the switch by default has it set to automatically obtain IP via DHCP. DHCP is set to auto. And I'm like, okay, so cool. So I was already getting further with that than all the other shit that I was trying to configure and do. So set up some trunk ports, or a trunk port, and kind of went from there. So I did all of this work. I configured both switches, got the router finally configured to run VLANs. I have VLAN 1, which is just the default VLAN. I have VLAN 2, which is the user VLAN 10.1.2.1. VLAN 3, which is the server VLAN, which is 10.1.3.1. And then I set up VLAN 5, which is going to be for cameras. Ultimately, I want to do what are they called? I want to do IP cameras or something, like security cameras. So I set up VLAN 5 for cameras, and I just set that as 100.100.100.1. I just realized now I should probably create a VoIP VLAN, so I'll probably do one more, which would be like a for phones and stuff like that. That's something that I haven't played with much yet. So I was like, okay, so I did all this work, you know, in my top secret layer. And then I was like, all right, let me move it over and hook it to an internet connection and actually see if this works. So I did that. And as soon as I plugged it into the internet connection, everything literally just like crashed and took a shit. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, I had configured, you know, my internet connection, it's coming from like a Linksys, which is a 192.168.1.1. And the edge router defaults to match that. It's the same as that. And I'm like, I wonder if that's a problem. Like, it's basically like using like the same IP space and all that. So I redid the and I did all this after hours at work. I was sitting at work like with time to kill. I'm like, fuck it, dude, like I'll play with this. So I reconfigured the edge router, and instead of setting it to like obtain IP automatically from like the WAN port, I set a static IP on the WAN port. So I set it to like 192.168.1.64 or something like that. I don't know. And so from my understanding, that would be the IP that Linksys is going to give my router. And so, you know, the Linksys or whatever only sees that one IP, I believe, and then everything else behind it is masked. I'm like, okay, cool. So then what was I gonna say? So yeah, so when I had my edge router set to DHCP, it was just fucking the couch. I think it was like doing like a loopback or something. It was like broadcast storming like shit. It was clashing. So I'm like, all right, let me change that. So I redid it and I set it to a static IP with a different subnet. So 192.168.10 dot whatever versus 1.1. So 10.1. And it worked a little bit better. I'm like, oh, now I can actually get on the internet. Because I kind of did everything backwards. I like configured everything without like an internet connection, and then I plugged it all into the internet, and then it didn't work. And I'm like, wow, why didn't I like plug the router into an internet connection, you know, configure the router, make sure I have internet before I deal with anything else. But that's okay, because I didn't have to like redo the switches too bad. All I had to do with the switches was change the default VLAN 1 IP to match my edge router IP. So my edge router gateway, the edge router as a gateway is 10.168, or I'm sorry, 192.168.10.1 is the edge router. So then I changed the default VLAN for each switch to be on that same subnet. So I changed switch 1 to like 192.168.10 dot I don't know, what did I do? 10 dot, I think 100, and then switch 2 is 10.200, and then you know, I was having all kinds of weird problems before I did all these changes. So like now I was basically having like IP conflicts or something. Like I think I was having like dual DHCP, like spitting out IPs on the same subnet. So so everything works is where I'm going with this. I know it's a long story, but so now I have, so the edge router 3, it's called the 3 because it only has 3 ports, 1 WAN and 2 LAN. I have a switch plugged into each of the LAN ports. So switch 1 and switch 2 are both connected to the router, and then I can I have VLANs broadcasting or talking between the switches, and I also am running DHCP on each of those VLANs. So each of those special, and those are all different subnets. So each VLAN subnet has its own DHCP pool, and it's working. That means the router's spitting out IP addresses. That's a good thing. And I can ping across the switches through the router. I can ping on the switch to other subnets, everything. But then what's also working is I can get to the internet now. So I can plug my laptop directly into a switch, either of the switches, and get out to the internet. So that means the router is working as desired. It's masking all the IPs, which is titties. So it, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. So it's funneling, I mentioned this days ago, but it's funneling all of that other traffic on all those VLANs and all those other random subnets, or not random, but all those other subnets that I created. It's funneling it all through 192.168.1.1, which is the WAN connection, essentially. So it, I'm really, really excited. I'm really happy. I figured this all out on my own. It wasn't easy. It's not intuitive until you kind of do it. So I've been taking a lot of notes and stuff and writing, documenting stuff, because if I ever have to redo it, and doing backups. So the edge router has a really nice graphical user interface. It allows you to take backups and make backups quickly and easily. I still need to do backups of the switches. I know I did a backup before I did all these changes today, but that's all null and void. But yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So now I can do, now I have two 24 port switches that I can run all kinds of shit to. So I'm really, really excited about that. But So I'm exhausted. It's about 6:15 and I am just stuck. You guys can probably tell, but it's just nasty traffic and I'm just completely stuck. But I gotta go to Walmart and pick up groceries on the way home, and Nikki is going to cook dinner tonight, so I don't know. I thought it'd be like an hour drive home, but I don't know. Might take longer. I should probably pull up the GPS and stuff. So I still have some more things that I want to do on my little Cisco test thing. I want to, I gotta secure switch 1. For some reason when I reset switch 1 and deleted all the files and stuff, did like a factory reset, it doesn't require a password to log in. So I need to create a user or whatever, force login, all that sort of stuff. Switch 2 worked fine, it worked more better. So I need to secure the switches, I need to back up the switch configs, both of them. And then I need to, what I want to do next is start working, maybe add an access point or something like that to it. I got to figure out, I don't know, I guess I got to figure out how to do that exactly, because yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be advertising multiple VLANs to that one. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how to do this yet, because I know the access point can broadcast multiple SSIDs, but what would be ideal is like have one SSID on like VLAN 2 for the users, one SSID on VLAN 3 for the servers, and then when I want to talk to the servers or whatever, I can jump onto that one. The user one would be like almost like an IoT or something along those lines, where it would just be a internet connection or something. So, and then so that would be something I want to play with, as the access point. I bought an extra one, so I have 3 total. Bought an extra autonomous one. I have one that I flashed to make autonomous, and I have one that's still a light that I need to flash. So I can play with that stuff, and then I was thinking, set up another VLAN for voice or VoIP. And what else? I don't know. Oh, I guess like firewall rules, where like I can literally segregate like the server traffic from the user traffic, so like they can't see each other. Or maybe like the user traffic can't see the server traffic, but the servers can see the users. Or I guess I would have to figure that one out. Yeah, so stay tuned for more.